Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Disability Pride Arts Showcase. We're so happy to have you all here tonight joining us, and we are so excited to show you all of the incredible artists that we have lined up this evening. My name is Sarah Nichols, and I am the Director of Public Relations and Events at Able South Carolina. So I want to get to the artists as quickly as possible because we have such incredible talent lined up tonight. But I do want to say a few quick things first. So if you're just joining us, make sure to say hi or wave to us in the comment section of this video. We will be interacting with you guys on there and want to hear your thoughts as the showcase goes on. So make sure to say hi and ask your questions in the comments. So a little bit of background about this showcase. We are here to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So on July 26, 1990, George H.W. Bush passed the Americans with Disabilities Act, which was something that the disability community had been advocating for many years, which fully granted people with disabilities equal access and rights in society. The ADA has provided people with disabilities equal rights and protections that allow us to live in the community, work in integrated environments, and access public services and information, and so much more. But we do recognize with this current pandemic and everything that's going on that people with disabilities still do face discrimination and infringements upon the Americans with Disabilities Act. We understand that, and we are working to fight that every single day. But tonight is meant to be a night of celebration. We are people with disabilities, and we are proud of that. We don't think it's something that you need to hide or that should be pitied. It's a part of our identity, and we are proud of that. And so tonight we are showing the world an expression of our disability pride through art. So again, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Disability Pride Arts Showcase. Say hello to us in the comment section of this video and ask your questions and show your support there. But without further ado, I would like to introduce you to our first artist, Anna Catherine. Welcome, Anna Catherine.
So hi, my name's Anna Catherine. So I'm from Columbia. I'm a youth transition specialist at Able South Carolina, and I'm also an artist. I specialize in drawing, but sometimes I paint too. My art is usually charcoal or Conte, so it's like black and white. And I do a lot of art in response to feelings. I have a lot of art in response to negative feelings like sadness or anger or depression or anxiety. So I sometimes feel overstimulated by things that are happening around me. So like the noise or the sun, like I'm very light sensitive, or like just whatever's happening around me. If it's overwhelming, I can find like my sketchbook and my pencils or whatever I'm using to draw it, and it just kind of gives me a place to put the feelings that I have, like any nervous feelings I have. It gives me a place to put it, and it allows me, I still interact with people, but it allows me just to kind of have that barrier. So this piece is called I Am Enough, and it's a self-portrait of myself in, I want to say it's charcoal this time. Yeah, this charcoal. So it's in charcoal. I work black and white. I feel like color sometimes, using color can kind of just take away from what I'm trying to say because I want it to be very raw, so I use black and white. So in this piece, I have a self-portrait of myself, and then I have words around me. The words I have say kind, empathetic, passionate, dedicated, pride, strong, enough, self-love, advocate, capable, brave, and educated. So when I first heard about this competition, I was like, okay, I gotta start brainstorming. This is really important to me. Disability pride is a huge part of my identity. I want to try to manifest this in a piece. So I thought about it for a while, and I decided the concept I wanted to express is that my disability pride kind of protects me from the world around me, like understanding myself and caring for myself kind of is something I've grown into, and I've been able to fight off a lot of like the ableist experiences I've had. And so when I first made this piece, I had myself, the positive words kind of around me like a halo, like what was protecting me, like that I am enough, I am good enough, I'm a hard worker, and all of those things. And then around it, I had all the negative words. So I had like the R word and try harder and pay attention and just calm down and you're faking it and things like that. Like I had all the things that have been said to me over time by people just not understanding my disability. And then the more I worked on it, I realized that I didn't need those words anymore because I've grown a lot, and I felt like the positive words kind of captured it more clearly. And I kind of experienced kind of a moment where I kind of processed through my entire experience, and I was like, oh wow, this is really what I feel. And I work with youth with disabilities, and it's really important to me that they see adults with disabilities kind of thriving. And I really wanted a piece that if I had seen it when I was 15, that could be like, wow, like that could be me. Like I don't want to inspire people, that's not the word I'm looking for, but I want to empower people. I want people to know that they are enough, and that what other people say isn't going to change who they are. So that's kind of what I wanted in this piece. So disability pride to me is something that has really grown just kind of in my heart over time. It's not something I've always felt proud about, or at the least just comfortable. So disability pride to me is about loving myself and knowing that I'm not a burden. There's a sense of shame that you have to kind of overcome because of like the internalized ableism that we're kind of indoctrinated in. It's taken me time to grow comfortable with talking about my disability. Disability pride is important, and I try to model it in my work with the youth with youth who have disabilities. So my disabilities are psychiatric disabilities. I have ADHD, and I also have anxiety. I'm a perfectionist with my work. If it's not perfect, I don't want it to be considered finished. One of the things I do to kind of cope with my concerns when I'm making art is I take breaks. I try to set timers. So I'll try not to work for more than an hour at a time, because it's really important to like stand up and step back and kind of look at what you've worked on. What I've learned is if you get hyper focused on one section of art, the rest will kind of fall apart. So I set timers to help me stay on task. I also photograph my work throughout the progress, because sometimes I'll look at a piece and I'm just like, oh, this is no good. This is not good at all. And I just can't see how far it's come since when I started. And so I'll tend to like document my art as I create it. So like whenever I take breaks, I photograph it. And once it's been photographed, I'll look back through it, and it's really helpful to see what's happened. So those are some of the things I do. So this is actually about my mom. This is Keep Holding On. And a lot of my work is about finding your center and pushing through difficult times. And this one, it reminded me of how my mom always had a coffee cup. My mom's always drinking coffee. Like she just loves the warmth of a cup. And I find comfort in the smell of coffee and just holding a warm cup, because it reminds me of my mom fondly, and just the way that she fought for me in school. Getting accommodations as a student with disability can be very challenging, and my mom did not play. She got me what I needed, and a lot of my success is, I don't want to say because of her, because I did the work, but she fought hard to make sure I got what I needed so that it could be successful. And so this piece was about her. So this one is Save Your Heart for Someone Worth Dying For. The best part of this is the folds of the fabric. It was a very weird shirt that I was trying to draw, but this one is about trying to find people who are worth keeping around, trying to make sure that the people that you surround yourself are worth your energy and worth your time, and not toxic people. Like, you need to have healthy relationships. And so this piece, I was trying to capture like the discomfort of like moments where you've had to deal with people that are just so negative or so hateful. And so I felt like I wanted to capture her, this woman trying to find strength to kind of move on. If you're interested in learning more about my artwork or seeing more of my work, I have an Etsy shop, and I'm hoping to get that going soon.
Amazing. Everyone give it up for Anna Catherine. Show your support for her in the comment section below. And if you're just joining us, again, welcome to the Disability Pride Arts Showcase. Our next artist, which I would like you all to welcome, is the incredible Nikki. Welcome, Nikki.
My name is Nikki Ransom. I live in Lexington, but I am from North Dakota. I am very crafty and like to be very creative in all different kinds of ways. And I love using the computer and also seeing how I can incorporate technology into my craft.
Cool. So you...
I have made my own patterns, and then typically every quilt that is made has a label. So what I've also been able to do is use a label that is a QR code so you can tell a story. So you can see the story of the quilt or of the person that I've made the quilt for or about. I use art as a way to process grief, trauma, bereavement. And my goal in making the art is that it is not put away in a box in the attic or the basement or the closet. So I call it out of the box memories, because what I want you to do is just give me the box of whatever you've got. I'm not going to judge anything that's there, and let me see what I can make. So I use whatever they have and listen to the stories of, tell me about that shirt, or tell me about why did this person have a collection of Crown Royal bags? What was that about? I sometimes will use the buttons. Sometimes I will use the sleeves to make a bracelet. So I try to incorporate every piece of the fabric I can in some creative way. And then the pattern that I choose either has a name or a style that has meaning for that person or their life or what is missed about them. This is a single block. A quilt is made up of several blocks. This one is extremely special to me. In each block of this is my favorite style of quilting is called paper piecing. And you actually sew on paper. What that allows you to do is have these very precise points like you see in this block. So this block is made up of 4 smaller blocks and then sewn together very precisely. So within each block, there are 100 pieces. The pattern name is called Y2K because it has 2,000 pieces in the whole quilt. And I started it when it was 2,000 days since my daughter had passed away. Her favorite colors are baby blue and lime green, and mine is purple. The symbol for organ donation is the little swirls that you see in the center. And she was an organ donor who helped 11 people. So this is the full quilt completed. And this now has been quilted as well. If you can zoom in to some of the purple squares, you can see a hibiscus flower. That is there especially because she was a cheerleader, and the last season of cheer that she got to be in, the theme that her coach chose was Aloha. And it stood for Athletes Living on High Achievement. My daughter passed away just shortly after cheer season. So the squad who were honorary pallbearers at her funeral sent a flower piece to the funeral home, and on the ribbon they changed Aloha to mean Ayla lifts our hearts always. So now Aloha is like a hashtag. Sometimes her friends will go to the beach and they will write Aloha on the beach and send me a picture. Sometimes I will get a message because I will see Aloha sign somewhere. So it was very important to have that hibiscus flower in this quilt. So I have two types of disabilities. I have physical disabilities and I have the mental disabilities. Some of the adaptations I've had to make for my physical disabilities are, it is best for me to be either standing or lying, not sitting. So I have different stations that have been raised for, like I have a full-size raised platform that was created so that I can press fabric, have it not affect any of my disabilities, and have it be an appropriate size for projects. And then I have the same thing for a cutting station so that I can reach it. Some of my tools are adaptive or accessible tools for grip or angle. So there's ways that I have used maybe even common household tools because they work with my disabilities and how I make my art. So when I am making a quilt, I am almost in a meditative state. I feel like I have a connection with the fabric. And for some of my physical disabilities, it's very important that I stay low stress and don't activate different things in my body or different reactions. My medical conditions will flare up if I have like too much stress or too much stimulation. Also with the physical disability, with this particular type of art, touching fabric and having the connection. I know you've told me a story about the person who wore this shirt. You have a picture of them wearing this shirt. So it's a way for me to find a connection with humans. And some of my mental disabilities make it very difficult for me to be around people. So this is a way for me to connect with people. And then I think lastly, one of my mental disabilities includes perfection, precision, detail. And so this type of quilting is perfect for that. And it's a way to use the parts of my disability in a positive way instead of, and you know how some people might consider that to be negative, to be so precise or to be so detailed or to be so thorough. This is a way that I can express that part of my disability in a positive way. All right, have a good day.
That's really beautiful and meaningful work that you create, Nikki. So thank you for sharing it with us tonight. Next up, we have Crush Rush, who is a photojournalist and photographer in Columbia, South Carolina. And he's going to be talking to us a little bit more about his creative process, his disabilities, and his ideas and means of creating work. But I do want to provide a quick image description for the photographs that we will be seeing in the next few minutes as he talks. So in order, the first image that we see is a hyper-focused photograph of a ladybug resting on a leaf, and the entire background behind it is green and blurred. The second photo we see is of a sunset over the water and the pier, and you can see rushing water going down, and it's a pretty intense orange and blue sunset with clouds. That's really beautiful. The third photo that we see appears to be another sunset. It's kind of pink and blue with lots of contrast between the clouds, set over the downtown Columbia skyline that we all know. And then the fourth photo that we see is another sunset. This one is a really intense, like orange and yellow and blue sunset as reflecting over the lake and the water. That's really beautiful. So without further ado, please welcome Crush.
Hey, how's it going? My name is Crush Rush. I'm a local photojournalist and photographer here in Columbia, South Carolina. When it comes to photojournalism, it's generally going to be things we're covering about, the human element, different parts of society that things may be working or breaking down as we see lately. It's mostly, covering local events, protests, march, rallies, politics, and things of that nature. As a young child, I watched my grandmother go through dementia, and I watched her forget everything. I mean, she was sharp. I mean, you think of the loudest, sharpest whistle you've ever heard. That was my grandma times 10. Watching my great grandma go through dementia and then watching my grandmother go through dementia, it really gave me the desire to want to document, to capture things, because the photos that I take, they very well could be here another 100, 200, 300 years if I do it right, so that's very powerful. So I just like to show people, the things that they don't necessarily pay attention to. A lot of people don't see bugs for more than bugs are, just this is a nuisance. Nobody actually looks at, hey, these are roaches, we hate them, but when they're not in our houses, they have a very specific point, and they actually help us not live amongst our own filth. So it's just, just helping people understand how we're all connected and we all have a place somewhere on this planet. When I talk about my disability, when I talk about my PTSD, when I talk about my agoraphobia, my anxiety, most people say, what? Crush, you have what? I'm like, yeah, I actually deal with bouts of crippling anxiety. There's been moments in my life where I couldn't even leave the house for months on end because the world was just a overstimulating and overwhelming and a frankly scary place to be because of my anxiety. As I continue and I push through and I find methods to help cope, it's easier for me. But there are times that I wake up and I'm like, okay, today is going to be one of those days. There's nothing I can do. There's no supplements I can take. There's not an amount of meditation that can help me. Today is just going to be one of those days. But I still have to somehow push through to do what I do. I deal with a lot of crowds. It's having agoraphobia is the fear of crowds. So I'm literally facing off with my disability every time I go out and work and cover these events. And there are times that I become very overwhelmed working, but thankfully the camera allows for me to kind of isolate myself. When I look down that viewfinder, I only have this one range that I'm looking at, one eye's closed, so it kind of allows for me to ignore the hundreds of people around me, because now I get to say, hey, look, I'm focusing on this moment. I'm focusing on this photo right here. And that's what I can focus on. It at times, I would even say that my anxiety keeps me hyper vigilant. It allows for me to pay attention more, because I'm always on the verge of losing it, if you will. So, when I go to a location, I'm always looking for exits. I'm always looking for, a little safe space if I need to duck off in the corner and just kind of collect myself. Sorry about that. It allows for me to do that. It has also, being an anxious person, I'm gonna call it what it is. It has fueled me, because getting out in nature gives me a peace. It allows for me to reconnect to something that's greater than my anxiety, greater than that overwhelming feeling. So, it definitely influences that time that I might decide to go walk a nature trail, or go connect with, nature, go find some bugs, because I'm just screaming in my head. I feel like I can't even really be in my skin in that moment, and I have to do something, because anxiety, PTSD, when you're sitting alone, it only magnifies with everything, that all those voices, those feelings that you have when you're sitting alone, it just magnifies tenfold. So getting out with my camera is very therapeutic for me, and it definitely influences some of the photos that I take, because in that moment, I'm just looking for something beautiful to combat the chaos that I have going on in my head. Yeah, I tell people all the time, especially, veterans that have PTSD, I always tell them, look, photography is a great way to center yourself, because once you get lost behind that lens, it allows for you to, I mean, you're literally focusing on what you choose to focus on in that real time. And then there's other things that are played that engages your mind to make that photo, the different settings that you're using, the lighting that you're using. If you're connecting with nature, you're actively having to search for the photo that you're going to make. If you're looking for bugs, you have to do this. So it really allows for you to calm your mind. And I think it's a great tool to center yourself. It's done wonders for my anxiety. It's done wonders for my PTSD. There's times that I'm just like, I got to get out the house right now. I have to leave this place, and I have to go get lost in the woods. And that's just what I have to do. And I got to take that hour, 2 hours, and my phone might go on silent. My friends and family might not know where I am for a little bit. But when I emerge, there is a sense of, oh, I can breathe. And that's a really big thing, because like I said, it gets overwhelming very quickly. My first cameras were actually disposable cameras, but my first digital camera was a 1.4 megapixel PowerShot S10. It was the first 1.4 megapixel in existence. I actually picked up the wrong one. That's the other S10 over there. Shame on me. But so it all started from my love for photography, and then I started playing this game that people know called Pokemon Snap, and I fell in love taking pictures of digital Pokemon and Pokemon Snap, and then I was like, wait a minute, I can do this in real life all the time. Which is why the bug started. So if you correlate the Pokemon going to the insects and photographing the Insectomons, if you will, that's really the catalyst for Crush the Photographer. And like I said, it was also, watching my great grandmother go through dementia was really a huge motivator, because I'm like, man, what if that happens to me? I want to have stuff that I can look at, because the older generation, all they had are their memories. They may have black and white photos here and there, but photography was expensive. Not everybody had access to a photographer. If you're poor, your memories are in your head, unless you had somebody in the family that could draw. But so that was a huge motivator to start documenting and covering things and taking photos, because like I said, when I'm old, there's a good chance that these photos will be just as crisp then as they are now. So they can find me at my Instagram, which is at CrushRushSC. My website is currently not where I wanted to be. But I do have my blog that I'm like working on reinventing, and that's crushinthecity.com.
Thank you, Crush. Everyone, show your support for Crush and all of the artists who have presented today in the comment section below. And if you're just now joining us, again, welcome to the Disability Pride Arts Showcase. We are showing our disability pride through creative expression tonight, and we're celebrating the 30th anniversary of the ADA. And next up, we have a spoken word poet. So everyone, please welcome Rebecca. Welcome, Rebecca.
My name is Rebecca Pruitt. My poem's name is Welcome to My Sanctuary. And welcome to my sanctuary. Listen to my voice. You do not have to stay here. It is by your choice. There are no requirements except honesty and loyalty. I do not expect you to worship me like a deity or royalty. You are welcomed to my realm with love and compassion. You may leave at any time. You are not held here by any passion. Welcome to my sanctuary. Something echoes there. It is complete acceptance of anything you wish to share. Ever since I can remember, I've always liked writing. I think the first time that I wrote any type of poetry was in middle school. We did Shakespeare, and I was introduced to Hamlet, and you know, it fascinated me, the way it just moved and ebbed and flowed. I wrote that probably about, oh gosh, about 5 years ago, 6 years ago. And it just embodies the acceptance and I guess the love that I have for everybody, you know, and everything. I lost my vision back in 1999. So up until then, I, you know, could use pencil, pen, paper, whatever. And when I lost my vision, I had to adapt. I couldn't see pencil markings, so I couldn't use pencils. I had to use what they called a 20/20 marker. And now I can use a regular pen so long as it has the thick lines. And I didn't know how to type on a keyboard when I lost my vision. I failed that in high school, but so I had to teach myself, literally blind, how to type. You know, even before I lost my vision, when I go back and read poems that I wrote years and years and years ago, I notice a lot of imagery and, you know, things that you can't actually see. When I go back and read things, I noticed that there was a lot of imagery and more words to express feelings and how to, you know, the feelings of things. And I don't try to put it in there, but if it fits, that's usually what happens. It ends up in there. Sometimes it could be a song that I want to write in a different way. It can be, I've had a challenge before. Someone challenged me, well, you know me, write something about me. And I wrote them a poem and it blew their mind. So they said. It could be the feeling of the wind outside, or the way the wind sounds, or just anything, the way the rain sweeps in, and it just, something about it just inspires you, or something that, you know, like a TV show, something said in a TV show, and it'll, you know, spark an interest in that, and I'll just go with the flow. And I don't know how many times I've rewritten something because it just didn't sound right with a certain word. I've gone through to look for synonyms or antonyms just to see if it would match the feeling of what I was writing. And it's always been, when I wrote before, it's always been something that I did for myself to express how I was feeling, or, you know, something that, you know, a lot of my pieces are personal. So, I mean, I know people that can write and it has, you know, a part of them, but not about them. So a lot of things are about me or how I feel or something that, you know, touched me in a certain way. I post some of my stuff on deviantart.com with under the ID Triple Goddess, TRPLEGODDESS. Thank you for having me. Have a great day.
Amazing. Thank you, Rebecca. Next up, everyone, we have a visual artist. So everyone, please give a warm welcome to Christian.
Hi, my name is Christian McInnes. I live in Charleston, South Carolina, in the town of Mount Pleasant of Charleston, South Carolina. And I like things that interest me, anything that includes reading, video games, trains, anyway. Basically, the picture here is my submitted one from, it's basically a daily draw. We draw things after we learn a basic fact, and the prompt was to draw a gorilla riding a shark. I drew King Kong, hence the crown jewels for King Kong, and the shark is Megalodon, since it's only shark big enough for King Kong to ride. You can see him have his saddle, and the bridle is strong enough to stand the bite of Megalodon. This is one design, and you see the U.S. ship USS Hart for size comparison as they're heading back to Skull Island, where King Kong is from. But I like to draw anything that's interesting to me, trying to learn new drawing techniques, trains, sharks, anything, video game characters, stuff I can think of. When I draw a color a lot in a short period of time, my hand and arm become tired because of my cerebral palsy, so I adapted my art drawings from our art online classes and did them on the computer in this paint program. I know I'm different, and I have disabilities. I want other people with disabilities happy. So I draw pictures so I can share them with my friends and other people with disabilities, make them happy. Draw a colorful storm. Draw a sleepy snail right there inside its little home, in bed, refrigerator, freezer. Draw a beaver with giant teeth. Draw a dinosaur sipping a drink. I drew a T-Rex. You can see its bathing suit right there, covered with hearts. Green pink lemonade. Draw the elderly shark with a tree. I drew a shark with a beard, with old eyebrow and glasses. Draw a futuristic flying vehicle. It's sort of like a C5 Galaxy combined with an 18-wheeler plus a bus. So you can land on the highway, take off on any road, or any runway, drive, and draw a building of only tree and plants. I do this building called Treehouse Lookout Station. Basically, only get there by train, and you can see it up in the mountains in the foreign part of the bridge. There's a tunnel through the tree, and there's an elevator and some stairs for people to get up there and down. And I draw yesterday I drew new one. This is my newest one. Draw a character with disability. I drew Winter from Dolphin Tale movies with her in her prosthetic flip tail. So she can swim again. So she has a disability. And this is her doing dancing ballet. It's her in Spotlight. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much, Christian. That was great. So if you're just joining us or if you've been watching this whole time, thank you for tuning in. So I want to quickly, before we get to our next artist, pose a question to you all. So if any of you create art or crafts or anything of that nature, I would love for you to tell us about it in the comment section below. So tell us, what type of art you create or what kind of crafts that you're into. We would love to hear about it. So mention those in the comments below and we will be interacting with you there. So next up, our next artist does typography and collaging and a few different other mediums. So please welcome Alex.
I'm Alex Hathaway, and I've been doing like typography type art since I was 13. So that's what I decided to go with, even though I do other types of art. Typography is basically fonts, except in my case, I hand draw them. And so there's stuff like calligraphy is probably the most common typography that people do. And so like calligraphy is one of the things I've done. Mock calligraphy is one of the things I've done. And so like, and then, yeah, the piece Alyssa has, that's one of the ones that I did that was more, I guess, unique, was I did it with like tearing up the paper to do it. And then that's the second one is what's called junk journaling. It's sort of like scrapbooking, except with more like found objects. And so that's one of the ones that I did, like the Holds papers from the library. There's a tag from something I got at like the thrift store, and then like the picture of the girl and the boy with the painting, and the gray paper in the upper left-hand corner is both from like something when I went to the Morris Museum of Art. And then the other page, like the whole background on that is just like receipts I got out of my purse. That was one of the ones that I made in like my notebook while I was like, just like, I'm trying to think of how to word it the best way. Like just sitting, I don't know where it was, but like I had like a fight with somebody. And so I just kind of wrote down the words that were repeating in my head. And then I wrote stop over it, but yeah, that's one of the fonts, I guess, is one of my more specific, like, to me fonts. Like the font on the first one is like a pretty common font that a lot of people do with typography, is making a bold cursive font. But then that's one of the ones that's more unique to me, I guess, and that I came up myself with. That's one I actually did for a friend, but like I like the quote myself, so that's why I did it for her. It's from let me think. I think it's from a Demi Lovato song. I think it's Skyscraper. And so I did it because that shattered type font, that's one of the fonts that I personally like to do a lot, even though it's very, very time consuming. So I like to do it, but I don't like to sit there for that long. And because I also normally with it, I don't sketch it out beforehand. So it's one of those ones that if you mess it up, you're gonna have to draw the whole thing again. So I don't do it a lot for that reason. But yeah, that was one that was actually done for a friend. That's part of what drew me to typography actually is I'm autistic, and one of the things that other autistics have told me is that we have issues visualizing things in our head. So I really like drawing. However, if I'm gonna draw something that's not words, I have to have a reference for it and just copy off of that. And so it's one of the ones that I've been able to do myself because I think in words, but like the words have colors or they have different like fonts, but I can't think, like picturing an apple is difficult. With drawing, I guess one of the big ones is I do have like hand issues. So like something, I have to do a lot of like OT stretches to make sure that my hands don't fall out, not fall out, but no, I guess, well, they sublux or they'll pop out of joint. And so that's been an issue with me. And then I don't do a lot of, I guess art with smelly things would be a good way to say it because of my sensory issues. And so like I've never really gotten into painting because of that beyond like Crayola type paints because of like the smells and that type of thing. And then I also don't sketch with a pencil for that reason because of my vision. If I'm going to sketch with a pencil beforehand, usually what I need to do is I need to bear down on it hard enough on the paper that I can still see it, and then it's too much to erase because my hands will get achy, and then I have to stop once I finish erasing the pencil, which is inconvenient because that's normally when I'm still halfway through inking something. So I found that just doing it in the ink first without the pencil is usually what does it best for me. And it took me a while to get to where I am, and I know with the piece that I was talking about, it's not the first draft that I post, even though I don't like outline things. There's about 4 pages before that, because I don't outline things, of me messing it up repeatedly. And
Okay.
so like we get used, I guess especially with social media, we get used to seeing art on its final draft, or if it's like we show off, even if you see someone's like sketchbook, they're still probably not going to show you the page that's just them drawing a circle for 30 minutes to make sure that their arm is loosened up enough to draw. Stress is usually when I'll create art just as like a vent type thing, or I guess it's called vent art is usually what people call it. Like that's what it is online and on Instagram, that type of thing, is it's normally labeled vent art. So I guess as an extent, I do have anxiety and I have depression and I'm getting evaluated for OCD. So in those ways, that's one of the ones where it does come in more so than like physical disabilities. If they're acting up, I'll do it, but it's normally, if it's bothering me enough, it's usually like a mishmash of things. It's at Junkie Letters and Doodles, and it's all one word, and it's a photo of me holding baby bunnies. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Alex. That's really expressive art that you've created. So next up, we have our first and only musician of the evening. So please welcome Laurel Jean. She will be first playing a piece for us called Vision Through Your Eyes. And then afterwards, she's going to discuss it a little bit, as well as just her general music career and her inspirations behind her work. While the music is playing, we will have a few photographs shown throughout. So I wanted to provide image descriptions for those. So the first photograph, the first image that you'll see actually is her logo of Laurel Jean, of her music. The second is a photograph of her performing at a piano. The third photograph is of Laurel Jean demonstrating her cane skills to Delta Gamma sorority. And the fourth image you'll see is of her reading Braille. So without further ado, this is Vision Through Your Eyes by Laurel Jean.
Why do you even try to understand the wonder in the night sky, the brilliance of the day? You cannot see, won't this be a waste of time? I hear too many questions of this kind. Then some people say to me, oh, if only you could see, to make your dreams come true. What do I answer in return? There is so much to learn. Wish everyone could be like you, and help me reach out for that rainbow, the everlasting harmony of colors around us every day. People ask me why life's worth living this way. Well, why not? I can see it through your eyes. Vision through your eyes. When walking down our different roads we meet again, you can be sure to find me as I've always been, as I've always been, reaching for that rainbow, the everlasting harmony of colors around us every day. And if people ask me what makes life worth living this way, I will tell them of the vision through your eyes. In the worry and the strife and all the beauty in this life, I thank God for his vision through your eyes. The everlasting harmony.
My name is Laurel Jean Walden, and I am originally from a little town called Shelbyville, Illinois. I've been in professional music ministry since I was 14, and so it's been quite a while, and I'm really blessed to be able to have traveled through a lot of states here in the country doing what I do. I came to South Carolina to do some advocacy on behalf of the blindness community, and that was 10 years ago, and I'm still here. And I love the people and the culture. It's a beautiful place to be, and really grateful to be here. My blindness allows me to really use my music as a platform, often for advocacy or peer mentoring, those types of things on a little bit larger scale. So I am able to reach out to a variety of folks on all walks of life and all ages. And I think that because I am blind, that a lot of barriers come down because people know that I am different also. So I have experienced the discrimination and the stereotypes, which is kind of the bad news about how disability affects a person's art. You still have the discrimination. You have those times when somebody isn't going to hire you to do a gig because you're blind and they're afraid that you might not be able to come out in the dark. And there are times when you have stereotypes come into play where maybe instead of being acknowledged for the work that you've put into your craft, people might say something like, oh, it's so nice that you have something to do with your time. And so, you know, you have to conquer those stereotypes in order to be able to really embrace what you do. And I'm blessed to be able to be challenged by that as well. Vision Through Your Eyes has a bit of a history. It was inspired at first by the Hadley School for the Blind in Winnetka, Illinois, and now it's known as the Hadley Institute for the Blind and Visually Impaired. And that school turned out to be my high school alma mater. I was mainstreamed from preschool through my freshman year of high school, and then I transferred to Hadley School, where all of the work is done through distance education. And I was really blessed to meet a lot of blind professionals who served as my instructors, and a lot of wonderful sighted people who answered many of the questions that I had as a young person growing up in a rural area. And I didn't know a lot of blind people at the time. So to be able to connect with those folks was really a blessing to me. We get so many negative questions today, even. Sometimes I've said to someone that I really thought was more understanding or maybe more knowledgeable than they turned out to be on the subject of how I see things. Oh, let's go shopping. And they might say something back to me like, well, why do you want to do that? You can't see anything anyway. And so I began to think about those questions, and that's when I started writing the song to say thank you to God and to the people who stop to describe things to me and make sure that I'm included. I read and write Braille music, and I also use the computer to do a lot of those types of things. I do reading and writing and recording of music on the computer, and technology has really advanced to the point where we can take advantage of that to quite a degree now. My music is on iTunes and other streaming, downloading types of platforms. I guess it's not called iTunes anymore. It's called Apple Music. I'm dating myself, but anyway, it's on all of those types of platforms. I'm gradually going to be releasing more of my catalog on those platforms. You can go to my website, which is also going to be updated soon. So that is laureljean.com, LaurelJean.com.
Thank you, Laurel Jean, for sharing your musical talents with us tonight. Thank you also to everyone tuning in. Keep watching and commenting. And I want you guys, I'm going to give you a prompt. I want to hear from you all about what disability pride means to you. A lot of our artists are speaking about this, and I would love to hear what our viewers think as well. So let us know what disability pride means to you in the comment section below, and we'll engage with you on there. So next up, we have Steffi, and she will be sharing with us some of her animations and drawings. She'll be sharing with us 4 pieces. The first 2 are digital color illustrations of her own original characters that she'll talk about. And then she'll be sharing with us 2 pencil sketches of characters as well that she'll talk to us more about later. So please welcome Steffi.
Hi, my name is Steffi, and I like to draw, and my favorite things are video games, and I like telling stories. I'm from Michigan, but I live in South Carolina now. It's just I have a lot of ideas in my head. That was digital out. It was practicing digital out. Sometimes, yeah, I draw fan out. That's an original character. That's an original character for one of my stories. Sylphia. She's supposed to be a deer person. Like a fawn, I think. It's actually mostly my own characters. I hardly draw fan out. Though I've been told I should, because then people will notice me more. Very random that I draw fan out. That is the same, this is the same character and her brother. Yeah, that was a screenshot from a game I was making. And that was me trying to draw realistically for some weird reason. And a guy for some weird reason. I think the only thing that goes into that slips from real life in my art is probably making non-skinny looking girls. Because that's what I know. And the other, I think sometimes some of the main tricks have some of my personality attributes, but not all the time. Most of them are also probably bisexual. I have a good imagination, and my characters look interesting enough and diverse, probably. Because I've been really trying to do that too. They're not all samey and boring. I also post a lot of sketches on Instagram. It's called Strawberry Crates. Strawberry like the fruit. Thanks for looking, I guess. Bye.
Thank you, Steffi. Next up, we will be seeing artwork by Yasmin. She will be sharing with us a few different paintings of hers that I will try to describe for you now. So the first painting that we see is of autumn, the season. There are a lot of, it's kind of an abstract painting with a lot of red, green, black, and orange colors. It's really beautiful. The second piece is another abstract piece that has blue, beige, gray, and kind of black tones throughout it, and white. And then the next painting that she's going to be showing us is of a red flower with some blue and green accents in the background, and then it has a black painted background as well. So please welcome Yasmin.
My name is Yasmin Zakari. I like to paint.
What's your piece called?
Look-
Go ahead.
Looking for fun.
Where were you when you started painting? What school were you at? Pontiac Elementary. That's right. You were at Pontiac Elementary when you first started painting. She actually did do an exhibit at the main library. Yes. So there is I think she did donate a piece to the library. I'm not sure if they have it hanging yet or not. What do you do to make art? You know, one thing you have to do, you have to go and get your what? What do you do when you work with Miss Lisa? She tells you to go and get your paint. That's right. You have to go and get the paint. Yeah. And then what do you normally paint on? You paint on a
canvas.
On a canvas. Yeah.
What makes you want to create art?
So everybody could be happy.
Does it make you feel good to paint?
Yeah.
It does, yeah. What else? Do you have anything else you want to add?
I could paint my dad.
You did. You actually did paint a picture of your dad, didn't you? For Father's Day?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really nice. And what do you paint what's in your mind?
Yeah.
Yeah, you paint what's in your mind. And what do you also paint with? You paint with a lot of
carrot,
a lot of
heart.
A lot of heart, yeah. A lot of love.
And what about this? This is beautiful.
You remember that piece? Where was that piece hanging? Where did we go? We went to the Capitol. Remember the Capitol?
The Capitol, Washington.
Washington, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
What is this piece called?
Remember that? You named it. What did you name it? You remember? You named it
Blue.
Blue, yeah.
And what about this one?
Oh, look at that. You remember those?
Flower. Thank you. Bye.
Amazing. Thank you, Yasmin. Next up, we have Andre, who will be showing us some of his pencil sketches of different anime characters. So there will be 4 different sketches that he'll show us of different anime characters, and he'll be explaining them throughout. So everyone, please welcome Andre.
My name is Andre Lowe. I can do multiple things, but my art focus normally is on art, drawing, animation. Okay. Normally it takes some time to complete my art. Therefore, I usually do not draw without a guide, such as an art book or image off of Google. So I kind of need a guide. However, my work is genuine as I freehand everything and never trace. Sometimes after I've completed the drawing, I will edit and add more, details, shadings. Yeah, like you see, not just some shading on his hair, spikes, add more dimension, make it more look like it's coming at you, 3D. So Natsu here, he's fighting this wind mage called Aragorn, and he's using, he's trying to deflect the wind blasts from him, and he's punching out, trying to cancel the wind with his fire abilities. Animation always has some fight scenes and also scenes of violence, but that's what people focus on. I don't necessarily focus on that. I see the details. I thought, wow, I want to picture that. I want to show the expression of the intensity. I want to show those, not aggression and violence in there say, but the beauty of the artwork, the beauty of what the animator or the artist or the mangaka or the manga creator had in mind. Since I have multiple disabilities, I was never good at athletic sports, so in a way, animation saved me. Also, art has been a coping skill since my younger days. As everyone said, I have a great imagination since I use my artwork to tell a story. Not to mention having Asperger's helped me focus my life on animation, giving me the ability to create it. As a kid, growing up, I was never good at sports or any kind of athletics. And anything, I'm not really good at school either because I got bullied and teased and made fun of, and I taught myself how to draw. And it wasn't easy. I've come across many problems and situations because of it, and I don't not necessarily want to talk much about that, but I try using my artwork to show, in a way, that I too can make it out there. And I too can do good, and I can, even though I'm different, I got mental disabilities and I have physical disabilities such as ankylosing spondylitis and scoliosis and rheumatoid arthritis. My dream is to become a graphic designer and show the world that even though a person with disabilities can make success, even through his differences, I will never give up. Also, I like to add, God gave me this gift, so I want to use it to please and glorify and worship Him. So I think the wolf represents my inner spirit. I mean, I'm wild, at the same time I'm solitary, but I'm also fun, and I like to joke, play, goof around, but I'm also kind of lonely, and I'm like a lone wolf howling at the moon. And I thought to myself, what a beautiful way to describe that in a picture with that background. Thank you.
Thank you, Andre. Please show your support for Andre and all of our other amazing artists tonight in the comment section below. So next up, we have Marina, who creates Pour Art, which is a mixed media art that she'll tell us more about. And she shares with us a few of her different pieces that primarily have a lot of blues, greens, yellows, and a lot of other beautiful shades that she'll talk about. So welcome, Marina.
I'm Marina Brown. I do pour art. Pour art is basically it's a mixed media art that combines together to make amazing results. I have some pour art with me, but if you want to see some. I do this. Basically, it's acrylic with Floetrol and water, and you mix it together to make amazing results. I discovered it on Facebook one day, and I thought it was pretty cool, so I looked it up how to do step by step on YouTube, and I thought it was pretty interesting, so I created my own at home. I have a good eye for identifying what colors go with which colors, and I know which, like, for example, if it's gold, if it's blue and purple, it goes together, but if it's like black and purple, it does not. Okay, this piece is actually in my lab. So you see the tiny little circles, that is called cells. They're like little circles that have like a cool paint design in them. And so basically, I have a black bucket at home, and I have like a golden like a place where to put them, like not golden, but like a metal piece that I put underneath, and then I put a thumbtacks on each side, and then after that I mix up the Floetrol, half a cup, and then I add some water, and I add a little bit of paint, but you stir it up a little bit to make this. I do like 7 cups to make an amazing picture. I do different kinds of art, but I feel like throughout my childhood, I used to create different pieces of art, and it comes out beautifully. But I have a passion for pour art the most. I feel like is the next step in my art chapter. I use it as expressing my emotions, basically. I, like, for example, when I feel upset or sad, I let go of my emotions into this beautiful piece of art, and it shows that it has some value in it, you know. Pieces are 16 by 20. I do have 4 by 6, and I do have really square tiny pieces, but I didn't bring them with me. I don't let my disability affect my artwork. I feel like it has helped me to be a better person by showing what I can do with that injury. Thank you.
Thank you, Marina. Next up, everyone, we have Alan, who will be sharing with us his inspiration behind some of his artwork. He's created a piece of a painting, particularly, of gorillas in the jungle, and he's going to talk to us a little bit more about the inspiration for that and what drives him to create his paintings. So welcome, Alan.
My name's Alan Stevens, Jr., and normally when I am at home, I like to play some video games or something while I'm at home. And I like my watching one of my favorite movies on News Plus. That came from a movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Caesar, Koba, Rocket, and Maurice. And all the other groups of chimpanzees, gorillas, and orangutans. That's green paint, brown paint, gray, and sometimes that is mixed all together to make some darker and lighter colors and textures and stuff to make them more realistic. I can draw sometimes. Sometimes I can draw a little bit about dinosaurs from Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Well, there's one other picture of prehistoric animal I haven't tried yet on my art, and that's probably the big megalodon. It's a prehistoric shark from the ocean, from the underwater kingdom. It's just like really big, like the other sharks that we see here. Like when we go to Florida, we see a lot of sharks around here.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you to everyone who is tuning in to this showcase. We're getting close to the end of our programming, but please stick with us because we have a few other amazing artists that we would love for you to show your support. So next up, we have Lauren, who is a visual artist and is going to be sharing a few pieces with us tonight. The first one is a lino cut print of a pomegranate, and she'll tell us a little bit more about what a lino cut print is. And then she has 2 other pieces she's sharing with us that are drawings. So please welcome Lauren.
My name is Lauren, and I'm 20 years old. I'm from Lexington, South Carolina, and I've been drawing art for about 19 years now. I started drawing at 1, and I remember being in Canada, and I actually had no idea I was in Canada because I was so little. And my parents told me that I had gotten this little kids menu of some sort, and there were some crayons, and you know how most kids are like, okay, let's just draw some random scribbles and be occupied. But instead, I picked up the crayon like a dagger and started drawing a circle. And my parents told me it was so perfect for a 1-year-old to be drawing a circle that perfect. And I look at it and it looked like an oval, not a circle. I was like, that looks no, that's not a circle, that's an oval, but still. And my mom's like, and my mom and dad are looking at each other like, she's a wizard now. I've done different types of art. As you saw, I did a lino cut print of a pomegranate. That was for a class I'm taking at USC, or I did take it. And it was Introduction to Printmaking, and I hadn't done printmaking in a while, so I thought it would be great to get back into it. And we were to carve an image into a linoleum block, and we had to roll ink over it and put printmaking paper over the linoleum and print it with a bear, or not a bear, a baron, which is kind of like an iron for clothing, but it's like a way to transfer the ink onto the paper, so you get like a rich deposit of the ink and you get the image. And think of it as like stamping. That's kind of like a stamp. And you can see all the different types of marks I made with a gouge. It's called a V-gouge, and that's, some of it's cross-hatching, some of it is hatching, and you can see the white outlines are the contour of the fruit. And most people could tell it was a fruit, but they couldn't tell what kind of fruit it was. And it's a pomegranate. And what's interesting about printmaking is that your image is flipped on the linoleum. It's reversed. You want it to be reversed because you want it to come out the way you want it to be on the paper. So you want it to be like a mirror image of what that is. And if you do it wrong, it's going to come out the other way. That is a sunflower, or not a sunflower, that is a daisy, a blue daisy. And it was supposed to be an assignment, or was inspired by an assignment that I did back in college. I was supposed to do a macro photography photo, or macro photo of a flower. And most of us were kind of having trouble, so I talked with a friend of mine who was looking up macro images of flowers, and I wasn't really sure what to do. For the project itself, I ended up choosing an iris, and I drew it and painted it, but this was inspired by one of his drawings that he did, and he drew a blue daisy, and I wanted to understand how he got the petals to be so realistic, so with that image, I practiced on how to apply colored pencil to paper and to really get the details. So I think it came out great. I like the color content a lot. Yes, that is a commission as well. That's for my aunt. She paid me to do this. She wanted a stargazer lily, and she told me to do this on black paper, and I was like, black paper, okay. And this is my first drawing on black paper. And I think I want to do that again because it was just, the pencils came out so nice. It's called Fragile X syndrome. It's a genetic disorder in the X chromosome where the X tail is split. It's basically called in biology a frame shift mutation. It's the most dangerous place a mutation could actually originate because it's in your DNA. Just because you have a challenge or a physical disability doesn't mean that you're any different from any other person in this world. You're a person too. It's just with a little extra. Obstacle, and there just needs to be a bit more elbow grease. That's all that is needed. The elbow grease might not be easy at first, but trust me, it will be fun in the end because once you've worked yourself into it, you'll have probably lifted the hugest weight off your shoulders in that moment. If they want to get connected with me, I would probably say Instagram because that's where that's where I am. I post most of my art there. Some of it's from my personal life, but if they want to connect with me, they could connect with me via Instagram, Lauren_Tiare.
Thank you for sharing your art with us, Lauren. Next up, we have Jennifer, who is another visual artist. Jennifer's style, some might describe as a bit surrealist, and she primarily creates black and white drawings, but she also does some in color as well. So she will share a few pieces with us and talk a little bit about her creative process. So please welcome Jennifer.
Well, I'm Jennifer Davis, and I live in Huntsville, Alabama. Well, first I just wanted to talk about my disability. I'm legally blind. I have a visual impairment called achromatopsia, and that's I was born without any functional cone cells in my retina, and so I can't, as a consequence of that, I can't see any color. I'm very sensitive to light. If I go outside without sunglasses, everything looks white. And I also have very low visual acuity. So that's, I've been with that my whole life, and it really obviously influences the artwork that I do, because I have trouble working with color, although I do try. So you'll see some samples of that in the work that I'll show. And, and one thing I have found limiting in art, and it doesn't bother me so much now, but it did when I was younger, where I thought art is so much about expression and emotion through color, and all I want to do is to be able to see color and just get blotches of color on a canvas just to show how I feel, and it's like I can't do that because I can't see the color. So whenever I use it, it's much more in a methodical kind of way. One of the pieces that I'll show is that I did many years ago. I planned it out, and it's a little bit like paint by numbers in my head, where it's like I knew, kind of had a map, this emotional sense that I wanted to portray in it, and then just sort of mapped out where I wanted the colors. And this is colored pencil, so I can sort of just have to remember what I'm using where. And sometimes I need so many people to help me out with the colors, because you go to the store, and just like paint strips in a paint store, what color is, Sierra Mist or whatever. So I need people to help me out just interpreting that sort of thing. But otherwise, I just go at it. And then my daughter, who was about 7 at the time, she's like, I want to draw some roses too. And then so she drew some things around the center of that rose. So that's some of those designs. But then she kind of lost interest, and she just scribbled the spiral over the whole top of the table, just scribble, scribble. And I wish I could have had a picture of that version of it to show, but anyway, I continued on with it, and it was neat though, because then the spiral just became the framework for me to use. So I didn't start on a complete blank canvas with this, and so that's why it has the overall spiral pattern that it does. But this one, I mean, it took me about a year to do, because this is like a 25 by 25 inch triangle kind of top end table. And I just work on it on the weekend a little bit, and I sort of thought of it as like my Buddhist journey. It doesn't have to be done anytime soon. It's just the joy of doing it. And this is this is an example of starting from absolutely nothing and having no idea what I was going to do. And this is another recent one. I started this one the very beginning of this year, and actually I started this on a 2 foot by 2 foot panel that I had laying around the house. This is a pointillism again. And my idea was, I was marking it off into squares, and I was going to complete 1 square of this a week. These pointillisms are hugely time consuming. But I thought each week I can do a 4 inch by 4 inch square of dots. And this next one, we're going to shift gears to color. So this one I created quite a while ago. This was back when I was a lot more active prior to my break. And so I think in the 90s I did this one. And it's not realism because that's not a real duck. I showed it to my kids and they're like, there's no purple ducks. I forgot I made it purple. I did Google it, and there are some ducks that are purple and black, and those aren't real fish. But I was just I didn't want to be tied to just, it has to look like something real. I just wanted to get this sort of aquatic underwater effect and, have some really bright corals in there, where I guess I got my hands on some neon colored pencils. And and so this is an example of something I just had to get my color palette, get all the pencils together with what I think I wanted to portray, and then just remember what colors I was using where. And this is a piece that I created for that book, the poetry book. And so this was inspired by a poem that, to me, the poem it's about, somebody who's really feels kind of like a shell of a person, going through some depression and just, you just don't really want to go on in life, but this is a very creative person. So it's like you're a shell of a person and you're kind of depressed, but you've got all this creative energy still within you that just needs to come out. And so I read that poem and I'm like, I need to do this, face that's not a skeleton because they're not dead, but they look kind of creepy and like they're sort of like this shell. But I wanted, just creativity and positivity and stuff just bursting out of the head. So that's what I had to share from my little sampling. And we can end here. Just wanted to, let everybody know, if you want to see more of what I'm doing or what I've done, I'm on Instagram now. I was sort of trying to get a Facebook thing up and going too, which doesn't have much there now, but it's that same handle. That's Blind Age Art. And then the book that I'm teaming up with Jean Lass, who is actually a former high school classmate of mine, that we kind of reconnected after many decades. The book is called Delta, and so a compilation of poems that he's written and then accompanying artworks by me. And we're hoping that'll be out in October 2020. And so I'll make sure to, announce that on Instagram. And then if anybody's interested in contacting me for whatever reason, there's my email address. It's been great. And one thing I wanted to share, just because, how do I need to adapt to create my art? I just want to share what I need to do it, which is these. I don't know if can you see these? So these are the glasses that I need to create. And I'm like an inch away from the paper, no matter what I'm doing, unless I'm doing like the scribble kind of sloppy sketch. And so I have to wear these in order to do what I do. And I've had these for probably like 20 years and they've been stepped on and sat on, and I need to get new ones, but these still work fine. So, and thanks again, and you guys take care.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. So last but not least is our final artist of the evening, Daniel. He is a photographer and he will be sharing a series of photographs he's created called Seas. So I'm going to describe the images for you a little bit first, but then he is going to go into great detail about each piece and his ideology behind it and why he created it. So first, he's going to show us a series of black and white photos. In order, these are the descriptions of the ones that he's showing with us. The first image is of a model of a brain on a table at the doctor's office. The second is a photo of a bunch of empty pill bottles, all mixed up together with a bracelet that says fall risk on it at the top. The third photo he's sharing with us is of a person who's in a large machine undergoing a brain scan. And then the fourth photo he's sharing with us is a compilation of a bunch of get well soon cards compiled together. And then after that, he's going to be showing us a series of color photos of friends and family members hanging out together and having a good time and being there to support one another. So please give it up for our last amazing artist, Daniel.
My name is Daniel Haber. I'm from Long Island, New York, and I do photography, mainly photojournalism, street photography, or any projects that I feel need attention brought to. I started doing photography when I was 17 with a DJ company. I was a wedding photographer. That's my favorite thing about photography is I can show you an image and have 10 different reactions of the same thing. It's very subjective and perspective oriented. And I feel as somebody with a disability, you need to have a different perspective on life, or else you're kind of stuck feeling bad. So when you can look at something a different way and find the beauty in the ugly or the good and the bad, it just makes your life easier. The black and white, I feel I shoot mainly black and white unless there's a reason not to. I feel it's better because color can take away from what you're actually trying to show. With the noise of all the different highlights and colors that come into it, sometimes you're not really able to show your message. Black and white, it deters from any distraction other than your message or the implied message as you show. This was a image I'm doing for a project, actually. The project is titled Seize, and it's a depiction of epilepsy from a patient's perspective. This image, I was actually at my doctor's office when I shot it. And I just wanted to, you know, I feel the brain is a very overlooked part of your body. It makes everything work. It's the reason we're all here. And to be such a small piece of a human, I feel that this image needed to be powerful. It needed to be big and show what a brain actually can be. And if anything, it's just something on a table. Well, yeah, like this one was, I started collecting my medication bottles for over a year now, instead of just discarding them, to almost show how much medication you have to take, and the emotion that's felt with it is my Jekyll and Hyde. I'm usually a happy, outgoing person, where my photography, I can show my raw emotion. And epilepsy has been one of the hardest things in my life. I was 13 when I was hit by a car, and 2 years later, I developed epilepsy. I lost the ability to play football, baseball, all my childhood sports kind of deteriorated. And that took a toll on me as a child and kind of drew me to photography. And I feel this image represents just some of the overlooked hardships that someone has to go through while having a disability that's might not seem that big a deal until you can't deal with it. And that's why the fall risk is there, because it's just known that if you have epilepsy, you might lose consciousness, and it's something that people have to learn to deal with. And fortunately, I've had support, friends, family to be able to help me deal with it. This was a WADA test. And the WADA test, they actually shut down the left side of your brain, following the right side of your brain, and run tests to see, it's basically they map your brain to see which part of your brain controls what. I've had this test 2 times now, because I've had brain surgery once, and I'm scheduled for a second brain surgery to stop the seizure. The test itself, they inject something into your thigh, and they follow it with an MRI. I feel this image is, all these images correlate to a project that I'm doing, and I feel this image kind of just drives home that feeling of, even when you're in a position like this, like you might not be able to tell that it's an MRI machine, but you could see the people above me, and I feel that it's just, you need people around you to help. Even if it's a dark, scary time, there's someone there gonna help you. Yeah, this was actually, I developed epilepsy after a car accident. I had hit by a car when I was 13. 2 years later, I had my first seizure. When I was hit by the car, I was pronounced on site they found a pulse in the ambulance, and I was in a coma for a week after. I was in 9th grade at the time, and these are all the get well cards from my school, from the elementary school I went to. My 4th grade teacher had her whole class write me a note. And this is, to me, I shot this because I wanted to let people know again that there is always somebody there for you. Whether you feel it, see it, or don't, there's going to be somebody there. And this is my reminder that there's that many people there for me when I didn't even ask of anything, you know? I was in a bad spot. I was in a hospital, and they didn't even know if I would make it or not. And yet I still have hundreds of people that I barely even know wishing me the best, and it's a great feeling. Those are actually all shot on film, so it's 35 millimeter film. The project that I'm doing has color images in it. I'm going to be creating a book out of it, and the black and white is the doctors, the car accident, the medications, and the color is going to be pictures of me, my friends, and my family. Me just living normal life without restriction. Well, every story needs a happy ending, and I feel that if you focus on all of the black and whites in the image, it's a very depressing story. And that's more than life. Life can be very depressing, it's hard, and it's scary. But with those people around you helping you, there's always reason to smile. My website is dhopperphotography.com, and there's a link to the project on there, and there's also a link to the charity that I'm trying to start for kids with epilepsy based on art. So, thank you guys.
Amazing, everyone. Thank you, Daniel. And please give a big round of applause to all of our amazing artists who have shared their artwork and their disability pride with us tonight. So that officially concludes our showcase. But please share this video with your friends who might be interested and continue the conversation about what disability pride means to you. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and have a great rest of your evening. Bye.